Hello and welcome to Coog Cinema Reviews. My name is Kiyan Badkoubeh.
And I'm Diane Baumann.
And today we will be taking a look at Smallfoot. Before we begin, be sure to take a moment to follow Coog TV on Twitter at @UHCoogTV and use the hashtag Coog Cinema Reviews to tweet us what movies you'd like us to review. They don't have to be in theaters right now, they can be old, and at the end of the month we will be looking through your tweets and picking a couple to review. Smallfoot is basically the story about a Yeti named Migo who is in his village that has been raised to follow these stones blindly without question. And one day, Migo meets a Smallfoot, which is basically a human, and that goes in contradiction with what one of the stones says. And so when Migo tries bringing it up to the village rejects him and kind of makes him an outcast. And so he meets this other group of outcasts, and together they set out to prove that the Smallfoot does exist. Alright, overall, I think that this movie was something that I wasn't really looking forward to, and going into it I thought that it wasn't going to be anything of any substance. I thought it was just another childish animated movie, but as the movie went on, after the first first 15 to 20 minutes, I was really actually surprised by how I found myself very intrigued in the story and very engaged. It was really like a cool experience.
Yeah, after about the second song, Zendaya's song, is usually when it starts to pick up and the story starts moving in a direction where it's interesting and fun to watch.
Basically, this is one of those movies that again tries to comment on social commentary, and so they tackle a variety of subjects ranging on religion, kind of blind faith, blind ignorance, and discrimination in general. And they tackle it in a way that other animated movies that have attempted to do kind of social commentary in this area haven't necessarily touched this side of the commentary. So it was really refreshing that although the story at first glance is kind of cliche and it is predictable and you do feel like you've seen it before, as it goes on and you start listening to kind of the dialogue and the different elements that the movie incorporates, it does feel like a breath of fresh air and like you're watching a new take on an old issue. Like
movies with Disney's Zootopia, they did tackle this topic of discrimination. However, with Zootopia, I felt like it was only a one-sided story. The prey were only supposed to like the predators just because they were supposed to. There wasn't really anything backing it up. But with Smallfoot, it showed both sides. There's this great line in the movie where the Yetis are talking about how they're afraid of the humans, and then one of the Yetis brings up how, well, the humans are also afraid of us. And I feel like that's a really good take on discrimination, especially now. And the whole point of, the whole ending of the movie is based on how we need communication to tackle these issues, and that's just a really good take on it compared to other films.
Moving on to the characters of the movie did have a pretty star-studded voice acting cast. They had Channing Tatum, they had Zendaya, they had James Corden, and as far as the characters go itself, there wasn't really anything special or unique to the characters that really stood out. However, what stands out is kind of the fact that they chose them to be Yetis, and I thought that was really funny, and that fit very well into their plot devices. The whole Smallfoot instead of Bigfoot concept was really funny and entertaining. And then a funny aspect that it also added to was that they established very early on that we hear the Yetis talking in human language, but then when we transition to the human's point of perspective, we're able to understand, okay, the Yetis are not actually coming across that way. They growl, so the humans don't hear the Yetis the same way we do. And the Yetis actually also don't hear the humans the same way we do. To the Yetis, the humans are like, they have this really high-pitched, squeaky voice.
So warm. Wait a minute, how's that?
Nice and toasty all the way around.
Oh, hey, what's wrong? You hungry? I found your food.
So then there's this really funny scene in the cave where the human comes across this bear, and the bear comes out at the human and is very aggressive. It's growling, and for a second you as the audience forget that these creatures have talked before in human language, and so you're sitting there thinking that this guy is about to get destroyed by the bear, and all of a sudden the Yeti shows up. And the Yeti starts kind of defending him from the bear, and you're hearing this from the human's perspective, so all you're hearing is all this growling, and then all of a sudden it cuts back to the Yeti's perspective, so you're hearing the language, and it's just this Yeti talking with this mama bear, and she's like, you woke my family, like we are hibernating. I have a husband and he gets cranky when he wakes up, and I have children. Do you know how long it took me to put them to sleep? And so they're just having this back and forth, and you just can't help but laugh because it's like, oh wow, I forgot that they were doing that, and they utilized like the fact that they had that element in their characters very well. And so that was kind of the comedy throughout a lot of the movie was they were very well aware of what they were playing with in terms of their characters and the world they had set up, and they utilized it efficiently when it came to comedy. One of the other kind of important things to talk about this movie is the musical element of it. It was something that I didn't know was going to be so prevalent in it, but it ended up turning out to be musical.
Like after the first song, they were normal, but like the first song kind of catches you off guard.
Yeah, I would say that the first song is kind of like, I was still not really into the musical element at that point, and I thought this was when I was still thinking the movie was like weird and like a brush off. But as it picked up, the thing that stood out to me was that the songs were really catchy, especially for a studio like Warner Brothers who didn't really specialize in musicals. This isn't Disney, but for them to actually make really catchy songs that both correlated with the plot. That was another thing, was that these songs weren't just like random songs. Sometimes movies will just make random songs just to put them in to have a musical element to their story, but these songs actually told and showed the story as the song was playing out, which was really well done and really engaging. And so I can't decide, but I think my favorites was either between the Zendaya song or the story that the villain used to kind of tell the story. Lastly, kind of the animation as a whole. For Warner Brothers Company, this was pretty good animation. They had textures to everything. Nothing was solid clay-like looking. Everything had textures. The weather was awesome. The snow was there, and the animation of the eyes had a lot of emotion, and so that help you care about the characters.
Yeah, there's like these little scenes where you see like the Yeti's fingertips or like their hair, and you can see every single detail, like the different ridges in their fingertips, the different hair follicles. It was really good animation, especially like you said, from a company like Warner Brothers. Overall,
I definitely recommend, at least if you're not going to go watch this movie in theaters, I definitely recommend at least watching it when it comes out on DVD. It's a really good family film, and it will start some great conversations if you are trying to utilize some of that social commentary.
It does bring up a great conversation, a new conversation that other movies haven't previously brought up.
So for me, I'm going to rate it a 7.5 out of 10.
I will rate it an 8 out of 10.
Leave a comment down below letting us know what you thought about Smallfoot, and if you want to see more Coog Cinema reviews, be sure to like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube at Coog TV, and hit the little notification bell so that you can be notified every time we upload a review. If you haven't checked out our last Coog Cinema review, go check out our video on the Avengers Infinity War screening that we did for SPB, as well as if you want more animation, then you can check out our Teen Titans Go review. With that said, I'm Kiyan Badkoubeh.
And I'm Diane Baumann.
And we will see you guys next time.
Yeah, oh, 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 oh.